LIC's backing may prove to be positive for IDBI Bank's credit rating. Moody's has said that it will review the lender's long-term ratings for a possible upgrade. The primary driver of the review is LIC's plans to acquire a controlling stake in the bank. So what are the parameters that they're going to be watching out for before taking a final call? Joining us on the phone line from Singapore is Srikanth Badlamani, Vice President and Senior Credit Officer at Financial Institutions Group of Moody's Investor Services. Srikanth, thank you for joining us. So what are the milestones that you will be watching out for?
Sure. So it's quite an easy quantitative one. We are primarily looking out for the amount of capital that will come into IDBI, and that obviously capital is a big issue with IDBI. So capital will be the key driver. Is a key driver of the positive rating pressure that we see on the bank. The other more softer issue that's also interesting is that we would like to understand more of the sort of potential constraints that LIC may have in sort of providing support. And it's primarily coming from the angle that even to get to a 51% stake, LIC would be breaching its investment guidelines, and presumably for which it has taken the permission of the insurance regulator. But if the need arises, and if LIC has to pump in more capital into the bank, and obviously that would the consequence of that is that the stake of LIC will go beyond 51%. I think clarity on whether LIC has the latitude to do that, or would it need to go back to the regulator every time it does that and get permission for that, is something that also we'll be interested in understanding better.
Srikanth, good afternoon. Neera joining us. I think that's the issue, right? I mean, it's been debated here locally that if they are making this investment through the policyholder accounts, that means that at some point, 5, 7, maybe 10 years down the line, they have to perhaps exit it. If that's the case, then can LIC be construed as a promoter or not? I guess one will have to wait, but would that be a factor in the rating eventually?
It would. I mean, because there are 2 steps to this rating, right? One is the standalone credit profile of the bank itself, and the driver for that would be the amount of capital that the bank would have. So that is a clear-cut measure. The other driver of the rating also would be any potential affiliate support that we would want to build in from LIC. And the concept of affiliate support is that in case the bank is under stress, LIC is willing to provide extraordinary support. Now, the intent is one issue, and the intent is driven by the fact that it would have a majority stake, there is a reputational risk involved, but also its ability, and the ability in part could be constrained because of regulatory constraints. So that's something that would be there. So clarity on that would be an important factor in determining how much support we can build in from LIC.
Srikanth, if you just take the credit profile of IDBI Bank as a whole, if the required capital comes in from LIC in whatever form, are there any other concerns you have as far as the bank is concerned?
See, it's really that we're talking about the rating level, right? So right now on a standalone credit profile, IDBI is at CAA1, which is the weakest among all the rated banks, and it's quite a weak credit profile on a standalone basis. So to that, there is upside as far as capital is concerned. If capital comes in, obviously there's an upside to that particular BCA. Having said that, we would continue to expect IDBI's BCA to be at the lower end of where we have the Indian banks. So if you look at the Indian banks, the standalone credit profiles of the BCAs extend from BA1, I'm talking about the state-owned banks, so they extend from BA1 of SBI to going down to CAA1 of IDBI, and the median comes to BA3, BA1 range. So we would still expect IDBI's BCA, even after the capital coming in, to be below the median that we have for the Indian state-owned banks. So it'll remain a relatively weak credit profile, but it should be stronger than what it is right now.
Okay. Srikanth, last question from me, again going into the support that is assumed by the government on most of these public sector banks. Now, in this kind of a scenario, how would that get adjusted? How would you view that? Would you see LIC as just another government agency and hence factor in a similar amount of support or not?
Sure. I think that's going to be a very important point in the debate, whether IDBI Bank will continue to be seen as a public sector bank or not. And if the government stake comes below 51%, which is presumably what will happen if the deal goes through, I think there is definitely a ground for making a difference between an IDBI Bank and other public sector banks as far as the degree of government support is concerned.